Hello.
Yeah, you don't want to add them. Oh, yeah. They'll put on a suit. Big white suit. One of the requirements is air conditioning, so that's not the batteries. Are you for real right now? Wow. We're not coming there if it's not air.
Oh, that's taking a white collar.
In a closed combination. I don't want to be walking.
In a closed my exercise.
It's like you make 1,000 copies and you're shred.
That's just
We don't need this.
if there wasn't so much food there, I'd just bring them in the store.
It's all electronic.
Oh my gosh. It really showed us how Gus was. And this one is just so incredibly sweet.
As a reminder, anyone wishing to speak, if you fill out a form in the back first.
You can say something next. Okay, I have 7 o'clock. If you'd rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And everyone is here. And I need a motion for approval of the regular meeting minutes of June 10th, 2019. Negotiations Committee minutes of June 19, 2019. Policy Committee meeting minutes of June 24th, 2019. Facilities Committee meeting minutes of June 24th, 19. Transportation Committee meeting minutes of June 24th, 19. Personnel Committee meeting minutes of June 26, 2019, and Negotiations Committee minutes of June 26 of 19.
So moved.
Second.
Weissel?
Yes.
Duchess?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Mazur?
Yes.
Goldberg?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I need a motion for approval of the executive session meeting minutes of June 10th, 2019, which are in your packet.
So moved. Second.
Already. Duchess?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas.
Yes.
Missouri.
Yes.
Goldberg.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Weissel.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And approval of the July 19 expenses, and there are a few additional.
I had a question. Are these expenses that we're approving today going to go on the budget that ended June 30th or the budget that started July 1st? Because we're already $355,000 over expended.
It's the next fiscal year. So bills that we're paying now will be accounted for in the 1920 fiscal budget.
Then when we talk about it at Finance Committee about the, okay,
You got it.
about the over expenditures? Okay.
Anyone else? I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Pappas.
Yes.
Missouri.
Yes.
Goldberg.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Weissel.
Yes.
Duchess.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And work through the treasurer's report.
All right. Balance of the superintendent account at First Community at the end of June was $5,250,548.64. We had outstanding checks of $22,515.76 at month end, leaving the adjusted bank balance at $5,228,032.88. Lunch program balance was $2292.62. Impress activity fund $5,000, leaving the total balance at $5,235,325.50. The investment balances at the end of June were $10,335,626.21, leaving the balance of all funds at June 30 at $15,570,951.71. In June, we had receipts of $5,060,609.37 and expenses of $980,832.77. The individual fund balances ended up at the education fund, $9,116,962.64. The building fund, $1,157,021.58. Bond and interest, $910,497.62. Transportation fund, $1,502,415.31. IMRF, $24,359.83. Working cash, $2,392,617.20. Tort fund, $195,903.01. And life safety at $271,174.52. June interest, we earned $5,085.72. We had a few state aid distributions. State aid, $164,169.72. Driver's education, $24,94.31, and state free lunch at $122.16. There were 2 real estate distributions in June, one for $3,975,334.77, and another for $795,821.75. All the fund balances are in your packet.
Mr. Peters, will you be at that meeting then, at the finance meeting? Because I was a little surprised a week before the end of the fiscal year that if we didn't get one more check, we were going to end up with a $900,000 deficit. So will you be there? I was wondering if there's ways that we can guard against it. I don't remember that happening in the other 2 ends of the fiscal years that I was on the board.
I'll be there whenever you need me.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mike? You need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Pappas.
Yes.
Missouri.
Yes.
Goldberg.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Weissel.
Yes.
Duchess.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We were excited enough to have 4 of our girls qualify for the state track meet, and so we've asked them to come. Maddie BOE and Christy Weissel both went as throwers. Ladies, if you'd stand up. Either of you like to say a few words? No? All good? Okay. Thanks for being here. Also, we had 2 others, Haley Jansen and Tori Fasano, both went down to state. Haley got 4th in the mile, 7th in the mile, and 4th in the 2 mile, and Tori was 20th in both the 800 and the mile. So an excellent girls track season, very proud.
I'm very proud of them without having a track to be able to do that. And then there was another student in the 7th grade, Simon, what was his last name? Simon? He's on your sheet. Who made it to state also for discus. So very proud, very proud. He wasn't able to make it, I guess, because he was invited.
Well, thank you. Congratulations. And
So we have another recognition then.
Go ahead.
I'll give it. Mr. Hilger wasn't able to be here because he had a family emergency, but he wanted to be here. So I will kind of tell you about this wonderful man for over 10 years. He has been coaching the students, volunteer, teaching them to throw, the techniques of shot put and discus, volunteer. I'll give you the overview. And first I'll start by Mr. Hilger wasn't able to attend, so he gave us a quote along with, I think, 10 other people, and you can see them all. He wrote, "Our track and field throwing program wouldn't have been as successful if it wasn't for Joe. He put so much time and effort in helping the kids while also showing me some things along the way. There was always a sense of excitement throughout practice when the throwers knew Joe was coming to work with them. On a personal note, Joe always asks how my kids are doing and has become a friend." He wrote, "Thanks for all you do, buddy." So he was very helpful in this. So we started it by trying to come up with a list of names of students who excelled under your guidance. And he started to help me, and he put this whole list together, and then we were able to come up with the archives, and it was all verified by IESA records. Coach Joe, he's been a volunteer for over 12 years. He started in Bloom High School, and then the Dearies asked you to come along. And Joe has been able to pass along the Beecher athletes, have propelled them to some very impressive statistics. And I bet he doesn't know this. He's been able to have 1 state champion, 2 state runner-ups, 7 state.
You left out.
We played that.
He's done so much, and I came up with all of it. It's just,
give him a minute.
excuse me. Yay.
Very sorry, right? This is why I coached all these people right here. Great memories.
All right, so you've had 1 state champion, 2 state runner-ups, 7 state medalists, 11 individual state qualifiers, 12 state medals, 31 state qualifying events, 1 or more state qualifying athlete in every year of volunteer coaching, 2 Beecher 200U athletes who threw implements in college, 1 Beecher 200U athlete received a college scholarship at Citadel for throwing, and 1 Beecher 200U athlete received NCAA status at Judson for shot put. We would like to thank you for all you have done for your effort in enriching the athletic and life experiences for so many individuals. Thank you.
No one ever has to pay me for this. It's my pleasure.
Oh my God.
Always.
Your heart's in there.
Joe, here is a plaque that recognizes your
10 years, over 10 years of working with the kids and really differentiating the whole Beecher track program. I mean, all the other schools have good athletes, but it's people like you and it's people like at the board that volunteer their time that, makes the difference. So, all that information, I don't know where we're going to put this, but that's all I had, all the kids that you worked with, all the stats that we could come up with. So, this is for you also, and just thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Coaches don't make athletes. Athletes make coaches. It works both ways. It works. It comes from the parents, like good parents that believe in their kids. All I got to do is get the talent out of them once they choose to pick a sport. That's all coaches do. They guide you. Nobody makes a great athlete. Great athletes are born, and until you find a person that can guide you in the right direction, that's what makes an athlete. I don't make. These guys are all born with talent. I was born with talent. That's the one thing track taught me. When I got to see Europe, I would have never went to Europe if it wasn't for track. I went to Germany and went to Holland. I was in Paris. That's why I coach. If I give one of these kids one of them opportunities, or go to college, or help them carry out with scholarships, that's why I coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A huge thank you to Carla for putting this
Yes,
all
absolutely.
together, because that was magical. This is long overdue, and just on behalf of parents of kids that you coach, we could not thank you. You are so invaluable to us. You were not just a coach, and with untapped...
They're all my kids too.
They are. We're grateful to give them to you.
I know.
Some of them are still yours.
Our kids can have as much talent as they want if they didn't have a coach that dedicated themselves like you did, because you were more than a coach. You were at our houses. You were calling us. You were working with these kids on Saturdays. You and Brian were installing a throwing ring in the back of the junior high so the kids had a place to throw.
We got a good program, and I wish like this year was scary because I thought we were going to lose it, but you guys have to come up with a facility. Or how do you say, if it wasn't for this kid, we wouldn't have a ring. You had to write an assignment in order to get the ring that we got and everything. But there's a lot of good talented kids in this town that I see walking every day that we have to get them out there to do something, just to try it.
Absolutely.
But it's a pleasure for me to coach. I enjoy coaching as much as I did throwing.
Yeah, thank you.
And I hate to say this, but I always have a lot of respect for Pam and Ted. They're the ones that started the track program, and they were doing a great job. It went the wrong way, but I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but they need a lot of recognition too, because if it wasn't for them, we would never would have a track team. I mean, they had really a great program going there. And they're the ones that invited me. I went to go see my granddaughter throw the shot put in Piedmont. And then one girl that I knew that I threw, her daughter was throwing a shot put that day, and they go, "You got it coming up, they don't even know how to hold it." They throw like a baseball. I said, "That's not good." They'll throw their arm out, So then the Jerry's invited me to come and coach on a Friday, and I've been here ever since. But I mean, they're the ones that need a lot of recognition too, because I don't know how much money they pour out of their pockets. I mean, they used to buy kids clothes. I mean, they used to buy me a track outfit every year, which I would have never bought for myself. But I mean, they're just good people, and they should get the recognition like I got here, because if it wasn't for them, this would not be happening. They're the ones that invited me out here. So
It's in the write-up that they
Nice. Thanks to the dearies.
Well, thank you again.
you guys can get a track here.
Yeah, right?
All in favor?
Moving right along.
I'm sorry, get back home.
Very good.
So you guys don't have to stay if you. But thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, not a lot to add to the reports that I've sent out. Just a couple of kind of public service message reminders. Because of the new law that passed We have reverted back to the old 300 minutes of what is a school day. A couple of years ago when the laws changed on some of the new funding mechanisms, they really left that up to more of a local discretion. And unfortunately, there were a few school districts that took advantage of that. And so now they've reverted it back to the 300 clock minutes. Because of that, our opening day with students won't be at 1 o'clock dismissal, it'll be at 2. And something also I want to make sure that everybody knows is that high school start time is going to be bumped back 5 minutes. And so instead of starting at the same time as the junior high, it will be staggered in between the junior high start time and the elementary school start time.
Okay. Old business, the Special Services Coordinator job description, which is in your packet.
Yeah, I had a really good committee meeting on this, and so the outcome was to move forward with a full-time administrator, but then to also make sure that there were some additional duties involved, not just special education, but then also to be able to do some work on RTI, on curriculum, and so those were incorporated in the amended job description, even though obviously the majority of the job description does focus on special education.
If I may ask a question, when you put develop handbook, are you talking about just the general handbook that they contribute to it?
Just to be correct.
Okay.
So I was on the side on that committee. Was there more information, and we all thought that there was more information being passed out that I didn't have? Or was there like another job description developed or anything?
The job description that I brought to the committee was the one that I received actually from SOIC. They employ a lot of administrators for special education. And then, so then I passed that out to the committee, and then I added the whatever, half a dozen lines to it to encompass the other things after the conversation and then send it out.
Mm-hmm. I had a couple of suggestions of what one might do. So that was what that was. It was not anything with a formal position or anything.
Oh, and it didn't have like salary information or anything like that? I thought.
No, that was discussed during the meeting.
Okay, there wasn't anything that I should have that nobody else has. That's what I was asking about. Okay. Okay.
Have we, as a full-time, I'm for the full-time position, but have we, I understand we do have some issues with our special education and concerns with our parents. Have we did a survey on special education because they're top-notch too. They deserve the best education too, and I think we need a survey of our special education parents that are here in the community. It's just me.
Is any of that covered in 5 Essentials? I don't remember when I answered.
I think it would be.
With both sides?
I think it would be. We do and now it's an annual survey of our parents every year. I know the last one that we did ended in about January, so I can look and see what kind of feedback we have. So the position's been posted. The committee recommended a minimum starting salary of, I believe, $80,000. And we are currently collecting applications. For that, we plan on interviewing here in July. Depending on how quickly this moves, we might need a special board meeting to approve a final candidate. My thought process at this point in time is to have 2 rounds of interviews. The second round of interviews would heavily involve the board personnel committee. And so if the board would like some other path other than that, please let me know.
And you're receiving applications? People are?
I think we've already received in the neighborhood of 8 to 10 full applications.
Okay.
So now so it would only be the personnel committee that would be involved in that, and then in that second round of interviews then?
Correct. So there would be a second round of interviews with the probably 2 to 4 finalists, and that interview panel would heavily involve the personnel committee.
been left out of that process. We weren't left out in the last two in the process for the principal or for the superintendent, so.
If the board decides that that's what they want to do, is to have a full board interview of the finalists, then that's certainly a path we can take.
I would support that.
Do you like that?
I do, yeah.
I like that. Anybody else?
I agree.
I don't necessarily feel it's necessary. The role reports to the superintendent. And then eventually, doesn't the final approval come to the board?
Correct.
Right.
That's my perspective.
I say let the committees do their job.
The recommendation would come from the Personnel Committee, and then the board would have that decision anyway.
When we do the Personnel Committee, when we're having at the school level, who's deciding those parents again? Because here, let's go back. Let's take a little journey back in time. We see some parents are not being called, and you know we're opening it up to other parents to come in from the community. I'm going to say, and from my standpoint, it's not been fair because we're seeing the same people. Okay, we need to open it up to more residents that are on these committees, such as when we can go back to your, you weren't a part of this, but your superintendent search, principal searches, stuff like that. We need to open it up to more people. I hear that we're sending out emails and all that, but I think we can be better to involve the community more.
Yeah, I think the last time that we asked community members to be involved in our process, we just put it on the website. And so we'll probably do something similar.
Yeah, I mean, we use, I know a lot of people don't, but we use robocall for many things. It's a good thing we should use. I mean, it's a very important position, and I think we should bring some more outside instead of us deciding who we're going to decide on those committees. I'm just saying, from my standpoint. That's all I have.
So I need some direction. We've got a couple of different paths here. Do we want to have the second tier be through just a committee with the board and personnel committee a large part of that, or do we want the second tier to be the full board of education?
I'm okay with just the committee and then bring it to the board for a final vote then.
How many names are they bringing to the board then? You've always had more than one.
Under that process, they would bring a single name.
I don't like that process. So what would my role be, is not being lucky enough to be on the personnel committee? I would just I could sit at the executive session and I couldn't say anything before or after the deliberations?
Correct.
And when these these meetings are taking place, is there going to be notes taken? Because we know there was a concern. I have a concern, and a grave concern. The last time I asked for footnotes, because then it was brought to the board, I gave clip notes. If, since we moved to this committee of just certain committees, it comes to along that we're not getting all the information. I think this is what we decided a long time ago when we moved to the committee of the wholes. So I'm hoping that during this process, somebody's taking minutes and the board members are seeing these minutes. So when we make that decision, as I keep saying at every board meeting, that vote is you. Vote on the facts of what took place and what occurred. Don't vote on what they tell us. This is a very important position, and I
agree. That's why I'm attending all of them, because I want to hear for myself. I know you can't with your schedule with work, but I agree. If the people aren't there, then missing the detailed minutes, I know that we're all supposed to trust each other, but we all hear different things.
Every story is what? If Paul was to tell me something, I hear something, when you repeat it, it's not all the same. Right. Nobody's lying. It's just, It's just the way it is.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm very concerned.
Well, I think we just approved 7 or 8 different minutes from different committees. So those minutes are being not only shared with the Board of Education, but included in the packet.
Certainly not.
Can I make a Go ahead.
It's certainly not as the same as seeing what the candidates are like and how they interact with people, but we are all open to at least see the executive session minutes. They cannot be held from you, so even if you want to. But I have an objection to the process, so I'll state it right now.
Could the committee meetings be videoed as well? No? Okay.
It'd be closed session interviews.
Okay. Oh, of course that, yes, that's true.
So those would not be videotaped.
Right.
Those would not be videotaped. They would be videotaped.
The interviews would not.
The interviews are.
Okay. I have a problem with the process, so I've got it on record right now.
Do you want to make a recommendation for a different method?
I think I already did. I wanted it open to the full, okay, I wanted it open to the full. Okay, I make a motion to have the full committee interview to do the second part of the interview.
I think you misspoke.
What?
I said, I think you misspoke. You said the full committee.
The committee of the whole, I would like a committee of the whole to do the second part of the, as opposed to
You
the
mean the
personnel
whole
committee.
board,
The whole
not...
board, right. It's the same thing, the whole board, the committee of the whole. I get it. I want everybody involved. So, okay, so my motion would be to have the full board involved in the second part of the interview process. And that, I'll add on it, 2 names be presented to the board.
Any support?
She needs a second.
Do I have a second?
For a committee of the whole, is that what you're asking, Larry?
My recommendation to have was my motion was to have the full board receive the personnel committee, receive the second. It's very confusing. It's very confusing. I want the whole board involved in the second part of the interview process and 2 names to be brought to the board. That's my motion.
I'm sorry, because you're asking for 2 things. If the whole board was present, then we don't need 2 names. Because if the whole board was present, I feel that we are already informed. So you wouldn't need to bring 2 names to approve. We would bring a final to approve in session.
So I think what Carla is saying is she would like to have the full board interview the final 2 candidates and make a determination.
Yes.
Is that correct, Carla?
That's how the other process works.
Okay, so is there a second
For that.
for that?
I would second that.
Okay, Herman,
No.
Weissel,
Yes.
Liz, Duchess,
No.
Hernandez,
No.
Pappas,
Yep, yes.
Mazurk,
Yes.
and Goldberg.
No.
4 noes, 3 yes.
What? I'll hold my comment.
So the last time this happened, we didn't do another motion because I think we need to have another motion that what we are going to do or whatever. Because the last time this happened, it was for committees, small committees, and then we didn't ever have another motion to go the other way. So I would like to know exactly what is going to happen then. So whoever wants to motion that.
Well, it just goes back to being a committee. You don't need a motion for that. It just goes back to being the committee's job, right?
The personnel committee brings the recommendation to the board.
The Personnel Committee will be involved in the second phase of the interviews, and they will report back to the board, the entire board.
And I believe Julie's the chair of the personnel committee.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, I appreciate the direction.
And there will be how many names? That's not clear. How many names will they bring out?
1.
Will we at least see the
Wait,
candidate's profile? President?
The one being brought?
Oh, just the one being brought? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Okay.
so why does there have to be just 1 name? Where is that? Where is that in
Well, that's-
information?
So my question is, if I need the direction of whether or not the board wants this to be treated as other hires, when we're hiring a nurse tonight, there's 1 name being brought to the board We receive information on that. And so the question is whether or not, I need to know what I'm doing. I need to know if that's the process we're using, where regardless of the mechanism, whether it's administrators do the hiring or a combination of administrators and the board personnel committee make the recommendation, however that one name gets to the board, which is like what we're doing for the nurse and most of our positions, whether it's going to be that model or whether it's going to be the full board interview the finalists. And so I think I have the direction that I need, that I'm to bring a name and involve the personnel committee in the final interviews.
That's what I'm hearing. Okay. Moving on to facilities phase 1, approval to examine the summer of 2020 facilities projects, including but not limited to asbestos abatement, soccer fields and track, high school driveway, and junior high gym. And this is, could you explain that? What, this is a motion to examine what those costs are? Is that?
Yeah, and so, you know, anybody who was on the facility committee obviously can jump in here, but the conversation was, we have a laundry list of things that need to get done. These are the things that we would like to examine for next year. And so I think over the next few months to develop a list of what those projects would cost, what they would look like. You know, one of the things that we talked about is if the asbestos is a large enough cost project, that might be actually divided into multiple years. And then the Building and Grounds Committee is also going to meet in the near future to examine, if this is phase 1, then what does phase 2 look like? We're trying to develop a long-term plan. So this is simply a commitment that the board is going to move forward examining these things. Obviously, this doesn't bind the board to spending X amount on this or Y amount on that. This is just a commitment to saying, these are the things that we recognized as...
This is a facilities committee's punch list. Okay. I need a motion.
So moved.
Or is that brought from the facilities committee?
I believe that was a 3-0 recommendation from the facilities committee.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then I think we just need a second.
Second.
Okay.
I'm sorry, who's first? Motion? And then the second was?
Liz.
Liz. Okay. Mazur?
Yes.
Goldberg?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Duchess?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
And Pappas?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Just on the side of that, is anybody looking at trying to make the elementary school more wheelchair accessible?
I'm sorry, wheelchair?
Accessible? You can't get down to the lunchroom. We're going to bring kids back. We really need to try to make everybody able to get in and out of the school.
We haven't did that yet.
Just a thought.
Yeah, the functionality of both the high school and the elementary school are definitely something that the committee will continue to talk about.
Okay.
So that'll be brought to the facilities committee.
Okay.
I think they all just heard it.
Okay.
Okay. Classified employee compensation is, have we done anything on this yet?
This is something that actually came out of the personnel committee. That was just I think the conversation was just a recognition that we have multiple types of employees, and you know, I think it's the recognition that our classified employees definitely aren't as competitively paid as especially our teachers are. And so it was just a conversation out of that committee, and one that, I mean, I don't anticipate any type of resolution tonight, but I think the conversation does need to continue of what we are paying some of our people. I think Julie had some other comments on that.
There are, I have some. When it comes to paraprofessionals, for example, we're in danger of losing probably 2/3 if something doesn't change. We need to pay them more. In the area that we are, including down towards Wilmington and all around, they are compensated much better, especially when it comes to insurance. That's why I was hoping that maybe we could put them at the same compensation
I
for
believe you had
insurance.
some figures. Do you
Yes.
still have those?
Yes. And so I wanted to bring that up because I feel, and I mean, if we can't pass things tonight, I feel that we will be having quite a difference when it comes to what we're looking at for next year.
Can we take this to executive session?
No, because we're not talking about a specific.
Specific?
No
Okay.
specific person, this is a class.
Yep.
Our current starting salary is $11.62 to $12.20 an hour. Someone who has been in our district for 20 plus years is making less than $14 an hour. Surrounding areas' wages are much higher. Grant Park, for example, is $13.14, while their teacher salary is much lower than ours. Some job offers that have come in are from Frankfurt, which is much higher at $17.50, although our teacher salaries are more than theirs. Our parapros are not, teachers do not pay for HMOs, correct? But parapros do here, and $70 out of a check of $10.25 or $10.75, I'm sorry, where it was a huge amount of their check, and I feel that they should be at the same rate for that. And I feel that if we don't make this, we should at least even look at a schedule for this, because a lot of other districts have gone to that, where depending on their years of service to the district and also their education, they're compensated more. And I think that that would help for some of the inequality we have among the wonderful people who've been here for so long. So I think that we need to do something sooner than later. Because knowing parapros, they're looking for jobs right now. And for some reason in our district, parapros don't hear that they're hired back until like before school, so they haven't heard that yet. So, I mean, they're actively looking because they need to make sure they have a job.
So we have a classified schedule, is that how,
I thought there was one.
we do have a classified. I might
With the
have to do-
steps, even when it comes up to over more than 15 years or?
I have it in my Google
Okay.
Drive. I do, I can pull it out.
Well, I don't think there was
No.
everything over 15. I think there was a starting and a
Okay,
top out. but I
okay,
mean-
so maybe that would be
I can
expanded.
even share it with you.
Certainly, but
I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just
the
saying-
document that you're referring to, each step down is a 2% raise. And there is no change in the values of the document. You just slide down the document.
Okay,
So every year, all of our classified employees are guaranteed a 2% raise unless the board decides to do something differently. But in the past, I know at least the teacher aides have had more of a salary schedule in the past where, at one point in time, where not only did they get an annual step down, but then there was also a change in kind of a base salary as well.
So, I saw Julie, you know, as long as we need to be competitive so that they don't go to, it's first time I saw this, Frankfurt, Grant Park, places like that, because we do have some good talent. I know that, so I'd be open and see how we can keep parapros.
I can share this with everybody right now. I have it.
and this is one section as well. I mean, this is just the beginning of the conversation when it comes to IT, when it comes to custodial staff. I mean, I think we have to look at all of them, but I'm specifically nervous about this one and nervous about losing employees for next year because at this rate, it's also hard to hire.
Yeah, because a couple years ago, I brought it to the forefront because we had custodians, I think, somebody was making like $8, and I wanted, me and Larry said starting was 10. So, you know, to bring that up, I mean, but you always got to look around and make sure
Absolutely.
that.
You know, we're also looking at entire classifications of employees that if the minimum wage act does continue to phase in over time, all of these employees will be captured.
Yes. By 24?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
2024?
That sounds
For
about
5
right.
years.
And so, if the Personnel Committee is going to be involved in some interviewing, then they should be able to have some time. And it sounds like there's a good chance that we would have a special board meeting between now and the August board meeting when the Personnel Committee gets together. You want them to develop a recommendation to bring to whenever the next board meeting is?
Okay.
Yeah, can I also request some additional detailed information?
Absolutely.
Because,
from the ones we had discussed before.
well, right, if we want to isolate a specific set of employees or not, we talked about this in the committee, but we did not come to the board like with a formal recommendation or a detailed plan yet. So I'm not saying endorse anything at this point, but that we were in favor of discussing it, but need more specific information.
And it may be hard to implement just one class without involving
Agreed, we have to consider all that as well as the timing, is of the essence, but.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the salary structure
I just
schedule?
emailed it to them.
Oh, did you?
And it's
I
pretty
haven't
much-
seen
Liz?
that one,
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, that was put in
So-
about 2 years ago. And it was up.
Mr. Cox and I can discuss that for the next personnel meeting then. Okay.
Okay. Policy Committee, Board Policy Sections 7 and 8 for a final reading. We need approval for the final reading of the Board Policy Sections 7 and 8.
The only two things that were changed from the last time, I believe on 720, there was a reference into specific individuals being complaint managers, and we added it. So back to the generic titles, I believe in the first section, it refers just to the superintendent. In the second section, it refers to the superintendent and the HR person, director.
Taking it, you're talking about what we had in committee. They're taking it. Yes.
You got it.
Moving it back to the administrative office, which I think where it should be.
Yeah.
Okay, I need a motion for approval of the final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Goldberg?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Duchess?
Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And approval for Board Policies 2.230 and 4.60 as a first reading.
Yeah, a couple of different unique thoughts came out of committee on these. I think on 2.230, I think the two pieces that were put in there to give a better definition to what a committee meeting would look like. One was with respect to actually having public comment both at the beginning and end of committee meetings, and also extending that public comment period to 5 minutes per person. Is that about capturing that?
I'm fine with that.
All right, I need a motion for approval of the first reading.
So moved.
And that's just for 2230?
Yep.
Okay.
And it's a first reading.
Okay.
And
So-
4.60.
Oh, I wanted
Oh,
to
yeah.
discuss that.
Yeah. Can we discuss that first then before we have a...
You want to do that? Okay.
In the packet, we had talked about, or Mr. Cox had laid out what was underlined that would be added, and I had brought some things out about responsible bidding, and there's a lot of different stipulations. So what we had agreed upon was that Mr. Cox would list what the statutes of law are, so that it was, transparent and obvious, and this is what we would like. So that's the first piece. And something that I would like to bring up to talk about is one thing that was out of doing a full responsible bidding ordinance would be have an apprenticeship or training program, and that I understand. However, I would like to bring up the talk of if it is a job or a project or a bid that is over $100,000, that we would talk about it, that the company must provide certified payroll. The reason being is that the Prevailing Wage Act is, you know, there, and it's the legality, and that's what it is, but it kind of shows even more transparency that the company is willing to show that they are paying the prevailing wage, and that this is where the funding is going, and it just creates a structured, responsible process. So I just would like to add that at the end of that paragraph.
And on all large, I'm going to say large, you're talking millions of dollars, certified payroll is a very commonplace practice. And so I don't think, that would be something that we would normally do on anything that was large. Once again, kind of looking at, you know, millions of dollars.
Right. Yeah, like 100,000 was just a suggestion.
Add that to the board policy, to anything over $100,000, making contractors show you that they're complying with the Wage Act. Great idea. I don't have any issue with that at all.
Okay.
The way it's reading, or I'm interpreting it in the paragraph is, I mean, do we need the $100,000? Because it's coming in after the paragraph around the 25,000. So does that, I mean, if we're adding it to it, doesn't it qualify for all of them?
True. I just thought that this would be a much greater necessity after, you know, much bigger amounts. I think that when you're looking at, you know, 25 to 50,000, that it might not be as normal to ask for that, or would you say it was?
Well, actually pretty typical that we don't have a formal bid process under 50,000. And so really you're only talking about projects in excess of 50,000 anyway.
So what do you think would be?
50,000 is fine. I mean,
50?
Just by adding it into what our expectations are of the bid process, then implies that it's going to be anything over the $50,000 threshold.
The thought would be too, is that as we're preparing for, you know, large work coming and everything, that, you know, when it is investigated from other areas and making sure that we are, you know, avoiding any situations that we might have a visit from people that wouldn't agree, then we have everything ready to go, and that we are covering all bases.
So do we need to amend this presentation then?
That's what I'm asking, if we could.
Is that what your proposal is?
Yes, I would like to move that we add, I just didn't know which word to use, project contracts or bids. It would, but one of those words must provide certified payroll in jobs in excess of 50,000.
Yep. We can definitely add certified payroll language that they have to turn that into the district.
Otherwise, that's...
And that, can you repeat for me again, maybe that's part of the Illinois Prevailing Wage Act?
So it's technically not.
Okay.
But part of the bidding law is that all firms are in compliance with the Prevailing Wage Act. All we're doing is asking them to show us proof that they are in compliance with the Prevailing Wage Act. So not a big ask, and like I said, on larger projects, it's a part of the normal routine that your architects
they would do it
anyway.
automatically.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have a motion with the amended language?
So moved. Yeah. Do I need to? Are we going for the full first reading with amended language then?
Yes.
Okay, motion to approve the full first reading. So moved from me. With amendment.
Second?
I'll second it.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Duchess?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Mazur?
Yes.
Goldberg?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And we've had some discussion about board committee alternates when there is a missing committee member. I will be assigning those. If you would send me any committee that you would like to be an alternate on if there's a missing board member.
It's not exactly what the board packet said. It said we were going to kind of determine if we wanted you to assign them, if the committee member who's missing wanted to assign it, or just run with 2 people. So that was kind of what the board packet said. It didn't quite say that you were going to be assigning them.
Right, but
So
it
we
is,
discuss that.
it is the board president's prerogative, so I think that would be the easiest method.
Okay, Benny, I'll send you something.
Okay, I'll make that as a motion.
Second.
Motion as in what? She stated that from the agenda, it's broken down into 2. So, I mean, are you going to remove that from the agenda, let that be taken off, how it was written, and then go with what you recommending, or how are we doing that? Just for the record.
I think he's just picking the one he wanted to make a motion on, of the 3. Now we're gonna vote on it, right?
That's it.
So just to be clear,
Just-
the motion is to have the board president assign alternates to the committees. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And do we have a first?
I motion.
I second.
And we have a second? Okay, thank you. I just wanted to be clear.
Okay. Weissel,
No.
Duchess,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
and Mazurk,
No.
Goldberg.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right,
Did you vote there again?
just do this.
Did you vote on that one? I thought
Excuse
I
me?
voted- I thought I voted first. Did you vote on that one? Did you vote on that last one?
No, I'm sorry, he did not.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
I guess because you made the motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, I need a motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Who was the second?
Paul.
But Carla was the second.
Carla was the second.
Okay, Weissel,
Yes.
Duchess,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Mazurk.
Yes.
Goldberg.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes,
Motion carried.
okay.
See everybody later?
Okay, Mike.
Later on,
Hi,
Mike. Take
thank
care.
you.